Okay, I think we are here. So, hey everybody, this is Jen, your pudgy picker, and also we have Tanya from Thrifty Treasures and Tam from Tam's Place.
Hey
Hey,
guys.
And
everybody.
so, Antique Booth Talk, we are back. We are discussing, of course, fourth quarter. So, as a way to introduce ourselves, if anybody's new, I will give a quick introduction. I'm Pudgy Picker here on YouTube. I have an antique booth that is 10 by 10. I've been in this space for 3 years. I've been doing antique mall spaces for 10 years, a little over 10 years total. And also, I sell on eBay. So, Tanya, how about you?
Hey, everybody. I'm Tanya, also known as Thrifty Treasures here on YouTube. My booth is probably about maybe 5 by 10 in size. And coming up here in March, I believe it will be about 3 years that I've been doing it. Let's see, I sell on eBay, Etsy, Poshmark, Amazon, and Mercari. And I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting. Am I forgetting something?
Oh, I'm sorry, I nodded off while you were listing all the places you sell. And you, Tam, introduce yourself.
I am Tammy, and I'm Tam's Place here on YouTube, and I also sell on the Poshmark app and eBay. And I've had my booth for this coming February. It'll be 2 years.
Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long already. It just,
I know.
Yeah.
because I know when we first started talking, I'd say, well, what about last year? Well, I wasn't doing it then. So,
Right.
yeah, so it's nice. So we're going to talk about fourth quarter, how we're doing as far as what we're putting out, the timing of how we're putting stuff in the booth, and go into also how this is comparing to last year as far as expectations and how we think it's going, what we might be doing differently. So I guess first of all, we all have, of course, our fall stuff out. I was just telling Tam before we started that it seems like things were a little bit slower here. The leaves were slow to change in our area, and it was warm for so long. So a lot of people weren't in the mindset of fall.
Mhm.
So it kind of picked up once the weather cooled off a little bit. I know you guys are more southern than I am as far as where you're at. So how did your fall stuff go, or how is it going?
You go first, Tam.
Actually, I took all my fall stuff out probably maybe a week or so ago. I didn't have a whole lot left, but what I did have left, I just took it out and put all my holiday stuff in. So.
And how about you, Tanya? How has your fall stuff been going?
It's going good this year. I mean, I didn't really have a whole lot of fall stuff. I mean, really, I'm not even kidding you guys. My antique booth really just looks like a garage sale right now. I really got to consolidate and organize over there. So.
Yeah, things tend to get a little bit messy if we don't spend the time to do it, and it can happen so gradual
Yeah.
that one day you walk in there and you're like, whoa.
Yes.
So yeah, as far as our area is concerned, when we have the changing of seasons, that's when people get into the mindset. Once they get the kids to school, it was so warm, and now we're actually getting the leaves changing, and people starting to think about that. So as far as winter items, so Tam said that she's already got her stuff out. We have a restocking day. I know I've talked about this, where our mall is open on a day for vendors, that it's not open to the public, so that we are able to put our seasonal items out. And that day is this coming Tuesday. And they're open like 10 to 8. So it's a good time for anybody to go in and spend a whole, couple hours or all day. Some people, it's like 7:30, and I'm like, I don't think they're going to get all that done.
Right.
So what about you, Tanya? How is you putting your winter stuff out yet, your holiday stuff?
I need to. I'm waiting until the 5th to go up there, because that's when they do like a payout. So whenever I go up there, I'm going to go ahead and bring what Christmas I do have and put it out. And I already got a couple things out, like some Snoopy stockings that I have. They're animated and they sing. So I've already had those out probably for like a month now. But I do have a box of stuff in the garage that I could definitely price and put in there for sure.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but I have large boxes that I have marked for the seasons. And like during the summer when I'm garage sailing, it's 95 degrees, you're standing in someone's garage sweating, and you're looking at Christmas stuff and you're like, no.
All right.
So, yeah, so if I buy any of that stuff, I bring it home and I don't clean it, price it, take their price tags off. I just put it in the box. And then when that time of year rolls around, I can pull that box out and I have everything in one area. The only issue I had last year doing this was I was like, oh, I got so much winter stuff. I pulled it out and I'm like, that's it. So sometimes, you kind of forget what you have. And I think putting it in a certain area, I highly recommend people doing that, because we'll be talking about our inventory systems. It's kind of in a nightmarish stage, but I certainly know where my winter and holiday items are. I could just pull those out, because when that time of year rolls around, you want to get it, clean it up. If anything needs a little touch of glue or a little attention, to do that, price it, and then it can go out. So that kind of streamlines it, because you have fall, Thanksgiving, Halloween, winter, Christmas. I mean, all of it just,
it's a great idea. I love it.
It happens so fast. If you don't keep that stuff organized, you'll be past that season, and then you'll come across something, you're like, oh man, I didn't even take that out. So yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I've done that.
Yeah, I know. When I talk to my sister, I'm like, well, you got your winter stuff? She's like, oh, it's somewhere. I'm like, girl, get on it. So
that's my answer to everything. It's somewhere.
Yeah. So yeah, it's we will talk about inventory, because the unglamorous side of having a booth, and especially if you sell on other platforms, as all three of us do, that can make it a little more complicated with where your eBay stuff or Poshmark, Mercari, wherever you have that, plus inventory that is up and coming, or just items that you bought that you don't have room for yet. So it can be very, very tricky, certainly. So in talking about last year and this year, how do you think your fourth quarter is going so far? I mean, we're only, a month in. So Tanya, how do you think it's going compared to last year?
I usually do pretty good in the fall and around December. I don't know. I guess people are out shopping. They're in the mood, this time of year. And especially we're having that big sale coming up after Black Friday. So you guys know how excited I get about that. I do 50% off. And I was talking with one of the employees the last time I was up there, and he told me, you don't have to keep it at 50% off the whole time. You could do 50% off for a week, and then the following week, if you want to do 75, you can. And I'm like, hey, I might do that, because this year I'm going to blow everything out. Like in December, when it's done, in a perfect world, I would like to just totally clear out my booth and totally start over. And I was talking about having a garage sale, and I just really don't want to hassle with that. And that's when he told me, well, you can go cheaper if you want. You can go up to 75. And I was like, well, why wouldn't I do that instead of having a garage sale? Because it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah, and I guess if you do 75% off even for a week, and you still have items, it's probably time to reassess those items.
Exactly my thinking, yes.
To say, well, it's not selling at that price, then we need to kind of rethink. So
yeah, and I've had the booth for almost 3 years now. So I mean, if there's still stuff sitting in there that hasn't sold after all these sales that I've had, it's time to move on, for that item to move on and be donated or something.
Yeah. How about you, Tam? How are things compared to last year?
They're about this, maybe a little bit better than last year, but pretty much about the same. One thing that I will have to say is a very, very important thing is you have got to work your booth. And the reason that I say that is because we've had some stuff going on here recently, and I haven't been able to get to my booth as much as I wanted to, and my sales have showed. So I've been going back and working it, trying to, do like I normally do, go once or twice a week. But there for a while, I didn't go for 2 weeks, and my sales definitely showed.
Guilty.
Yeah. It makes such a huge difference if you're not out there tending to it. I mean, we go out there once a week. I go maybe twice a week because I'm physically closer. I'm like 12 minutes away. My sister's a little bit
That is so
further.
nice.
Yeah. So I mean, and plus with working days and doing other things, it's easier to pop in or drop a few things off and keep an eye on what's going so I can replace it right away.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, even if I come in and it's only been, I was in on the weekend, we're closed Monday, Tuesday, I go in Wednesday afternoon, and sometimes it's like, what in the world happened in here? There's stuff everywhere, or if something doesn't sell, and other vendors bring it back to the booth, they just set it anywhere.
Empty
Or
coffee cups.
and candy wrappers.
Yes, candy wrappers.
Anytime I see, especially this time of year, somebody will put a bowl with candy out, and I'm like, oh no. Because people will take it watered up and they'll pitch it. I mean, I go to move stuff and I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
Right, yeah.
So yeah, it's like, that's nice you're handing out candy, but by the time they unwrap it, they're at my booth and then they're throwing it on the floor, But yeah, it's like a garden. It needs to be tended. And if you're not doing that, consider, I would say, at least half of our customers, if not more, are repeat customers. And if they come in every week or every other week and your booth doesn't look any different, they're going to say, I already looked there, so there's nothing new. So
That's right. And I'll tell you something about that. My antique mall owner, Judy, she just was talking about that the other day. She said, you have got to work your booth. If you don't, at least if you don't have anything to put in there, at least go in and move stuff around, because when you move stuff around, people get the impression that you put new stuff or there's something that looks different from the last time they were in there. So yeah, that's definitely important.
yeah, and I have, an area in the front. I have kind of essentially a walkway that's like a U-shaped because of the size booth I have. So there's a front area on either side. So sometimes, those items, you kind of put those toward the back and bring some stuff up front. And that makes all the difference in the world, because there may be somebody who looks at your booth and says, there's nothing, that doesn't look like something I really want. But if they see something right from the aisle, then they're willing to explore more or go ahead and pick up something. So that's really, really, really important. And it's funny because the people who say, my sales, and you can get discouraged and think, that maybe this isn't working, but you just need to put a little more time into it. It's always good advice.
Definitely.
I think a lot of people maybe get the impression sometimes that you can just, open an antique booth, put a bunch of stuff in there and just leave it and just wait for it to sell. And you can't do that. Having an antique booth is hard work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some people, it seems like some vendors treat it like a storage unit, and it's like, it can be frustrating because you don't want to have, you're always going to have a few vendors who don't take care of their space. Don't keep it full, don't keep it as nice as it needs to be kept. But it can be a problem when you get more and more people who do that, because then customers might get to a point where they're like, it's getting junky, so I'm not going to go. So how other vendors are doing it really could affect, your business.
That's right. And our antique mall owner, she is a stickler on that. She wants everybody to keep their booths nice, clean, not cluttered. And I think that's the reason that we've done so well in the location that we're at, is because we have so many people that come in and say, wow, the store is so nice and clean. It's not junked up. It looks very nice. So, kudos to her for doing that and keeping us all in line.
Right. Okay. You guys have made me feel totally guilty. I'm going to go out my booth tomorrow.
Yay, it worked. So yeah, it's funny because there's ways too that we could help other vendors if we see somebody who might be struggling, or we have some vendors in our mall that are older, maybe instead of, getting upset or, wanting the management to step in, maybe it would even be in our best interest as well for our space to offer a little help, because I know I've offered and have helped other vendors get a little organized if they've been, under the weather and they just haven't had a time to move stuff. Or we had a vendor who had a heart attack, and she's come through it really fine, but still, I mean, she was weak. She wasn't supposed to be moving a lot of stuff. And so to be able to, know what's going on in the mall, or ask the owners, does anybody need a little help? And even given a little bit of that time, in the long run, it helps our business because it's helping the overall look of the mall to stay nice.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
And when you do that, when you put yourself out a little bit, and extend yourself, then you're known for being a team player, and you can be relied on, and those kind of things. And that good press goes a long way too.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, and with I know, I'm trying to think, you guys don't really have work days like I do. Am I right about that? And Tam, do you? Okay. So during the holidays, from Thanksgiving to Christmas, we all vendors have to work an extra day. So with Kim and I, we work. We have 2 days a month because of our size of our booth. So she does one, I do one. So, but even though we're different vendor numbers, even though we have the same space, we have to do that extra day. So I made sure I signed up for that. And those days I try and go in a little early and, do a quick straighten or whatever. So if anybody has that situation where, your part of your agreement is working days, use those to your advantage. You're not supposed to do anything in your space or during the time that you're actually working for the mall, but you can come in a little early and, do a little bit of cleaning and make sure everything, looks good.
Right.
So
we do have a few questions in the chat.
Okay.
Well, this one, the last one isn't really a question so much as it is a statement that maybe we can offer some help. So Homebody Heaven says, I've been working hard to set up my booth and keep it nice, but so far it's barely paying the rent. Discouraging. 2 months in. I guess I need to learn something, not sure what.
What size space and how full is it? Because I know there's a lot of vendors in our mall that you could look at their booth and think, if everything in here sold, you wouldn't make your rent. I mean, it's literally like tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
So that's difficult. If your booth is staying pretty full, then maybe you need to start looking at what other vendors are selling, if that's possible. To kind of see what's going on with them. Then you need to consider, are you selling smalls? Are you, maybe try and pump up the volume as far as, having some bigger pieces or a couple of pieces that are more expensive.
Yeah, a couple pieces of small furniture maybe.
Yeah, that definitely would help. Tam, what advice would you offer for this?
I would probably maybe ask your mall owner.
It's a good idea.
Some things, what's selling right now, what's trending right now. If there's a few items that your mall owner has seen go through the store, and, maybe kind of think about those types of things. Like Jen said, maybe go around the mall, look at what other vendors are selling. Mm-hmm. In my antique mall, we have vendors that just have like a 3 or 4 foot shelf unit with just 4 shelves. And, we have some of them that don't hardly sell anything, and they'll say, why am I not selling anything? And well, they've got other people that have only shelf units and they sell a lot. I guess it just depends on the type of inventory you have and what people in your area might be looking for.
Right. Yeah. And it's okay to, go to a vendor that's been there a long time and say, I know I'm just starting and I'm struggling a little, what would you offer? Or could you look at my space and tell me, give me some ideas? And vendors in a mall situation, it's kind of a fine balance between, we are competitive essentially to some degree, but we're also in the same boat. And if you're succeeding, that helps me. And if I'm succeeding, that helps other people. So, right. That really makes a difference, because if there's a couple vendors or a lot of vendors who are doing well, selling consistently, that's bringing customers in. And those customers are being exposed to your space just like they're being exposed to mine. So yeah, so it's okay to ask for help, or it's okay to say, can you take a look? You won't hurt my feelings. Give me some ideas. I know in my space, I sell a lot of smalls, and I've had vendors say, oh, you can't have all smalls. You gotta have a lot of big stuff, or you gotta have expensive stuff. And that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I do really well with smalls, and my sales have been, really well. But of course, if you carry a lot of smaller items, your volume has to be up. So,
Right.
it's a lot of tweaking. And honestly, 2 months in, you are so new to the game. Please don't get discouraged.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say Homebody says that that their booth is a 26 by 12. That's pretty big. Yeah.
Wow.
They pay $265 a month, trying to cram more in. It's a process. So my advice would be, who's shopping the malls? Mostly ladies, in my opinion, come into the mall and shop. And a good way to target those ladies is to put some jewelry in your booth. I think that is a good lure for the ladies for sure. Some scarves, things that ladies like, maybe, a few purses, just experiment. I try to offer a little bit of everything just to kind of get people to walk in.
Yeah, that's a big space. I know usually when people are first starting, I recommend they start with a smaller space, just because I think, not necessarily in this person's case, but some people get so ambitious that they just want to go in and, wow, I'm going to just blaze a trail. And sometimes you get in there and you go, man, I got all this stuff. And you put it in and you're like, this is not a lot of stuff. So, I mean, it is a process. It is a building. And once you start carrying things that people rely on, or they know your taste and they're like, wow, I really love that booth, you are going to start getting repeat customers, and they're going to know kind of what you offer as far as your pricing and the type of items you have and the kind of the style you have. And you will have repeat customers. It's, once people get latched on to kind of your vision and what you're doing, it makes all the difference in the world.
So Let's Be Happy Thrifter asks, can the place where your space is located in the store make a difference?
I think so. Tam, what do you think?
In my mall, not really. Of course, my mall is not very big, so it's not like it's not a huge space. But I mean, I guess it could, but I don't really see that in my mall, because usually when people come in, they go around the whole entire mall. I've been down there just watching people browse and what they look at.
Yeah.
They go around the whole mall. So, I'm not right at the front, but I'm kind of sort of towards the front. But even if I was at the back, I think I would still be fine.
Yeah, I would say that I think it definitely makes a difference if you're on the end, right? Or at the beginning. So that's where people, if they're just walking down an aisle to get somewhere, they got to start somewhere. So they're going to see yours. They got to finish somewhere, right? So
if there's a huge mall and it's something that maybe you can't, it takes you like all day, because we have one in Lexington that is 2 stories. And it is enormous. You can't get through the whole mall in one day. So in that instance, if it's a gigantic mall, then I would say, yeah, it might make a difference if you're all the way to the back and people get tired before they, get to the back. Then yeah, that could make a difference. But a smaller mall, I don't think that it would make a difference.
I totally agree with Tam. I think the size of the mall matters. It's funny because the mall that I'm in now is literally half the size of the mall I was in previously. And I think that really impacted sales, because when you walk in, there's just a natural course of going through the store. And we were on like the second half. And I think a lot of people just pooped out. They got tired, or, oh my gosh, look what time it is. I got to go home, or I got to go pick up my kids. So I think that matters more. If you are in a big mall, I'll give you some fun advice. If you have a cafe, try to be near the cafe. Try to be in that, when you walk in, where's the natural pace of going? I am on an aisle that goes back to the bathroom. I'm close to the cafe, I'm close to the bathroom. So, and also the flow of the mall, when you walk in and you zigzag through, I'm essentially the last aisle coming up to the registers. So, you know, I think the size of the mall matters more. And if you, like I said, if you're in a big space, then maybe if you have a space and you don't think you're doing as well, you know, you can, I know in ours, you can say, I really want to be at this area of the mall, you know, and you can be put on a list for that. And then, you know, if that comes up or somebody moves or changes spaces, then they'll hit you up for that. So that might be good. And as far as to go back to the other person that was having an issue, if you have a mall or a booth that big and you think you're really struggling and you're not sure if you can fill it up, try to get a partner, try and get somebody to come in with you, maybe. We even have a few vendors who have a larger space and there was not a smaller space available. And they actually put a piece of tape on the floor and divided it and then rented it out to someone else or
that's
made
a good
arrangements.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you think, oh my gosh, it's either this huge space or nothing, and you panic, then maybe that's something you could even, you know, but I would say give it time. But if you go down the road, go, I really think this is too big. And then down the road after that, you know, you can do that and then maybe eventually take the whole space again. It's, you know, you can kind of play with it. Don't think that you're locked into that size, that space, even that mall. You know, you have choices and, you know, just keep at it.
Yeah, because a big booth can definitely be overwhelming. I know for a while there, I think it was last year, I tried 2 booths, the one I already have and then one that's a little bit bigger. And it was just too much for me to try and manage 2 booths. I just couldn't. So working with the smaller booth has definitely worked out better for me.
Yeah, and the previous mall that I was at, I had 200 square feet. So my space was 10 feet deep and 20 feet wide. So it was literally twice the size of what I have now. And I don't know, when I set it up, it just never looked exactly the way I wanted it to. No matter how much we tweaked and moved, it just, I don't know, to my satisfaction, it was never that way. And it got to a point where quantity was taking over quality. You know, I was like almost like when I would go sourcing, I would be like, oh my gosh, I got to get more stuff. I got to get more stuff. So I became less picky on quality and that type of thing.
Yeah.
And that once that starts slipping, it's like you have to reevaluate what you're doing. So, and now that I'm selling, you know, I have a store and I'm doing more on eBay, I don't think I could have a bigger small space and do that. Something would slip.
Right.
It's just the way it happens.
Jen, do you know DNS Smith?
Yeah, I think so. I think she's a subscriber and I think she's been to my space before.
Okay, she says, there's that damn fine pudgy picker lady.
You can't get away from me. I'm everywhere you look. It's funny. I've been talking to a lady at the second Savers I go to on Monday, and she's been talking about getting a booth for a long time. Jenny, I don't know if she's watching. Hi, Jenny. And she like tracked me down, and she finally got up to me. She goes, I kept calling your name and you weren't looking. And I said, oh, what's going on? And she's like, I got a booth. So she had been on a list at one place. She's a good probably 30, 40 minutes from me, and said, I ended up just checking into a different place. And they said they didn't really have room. But then the owner asked her what she sold. And she said the owner was like, you know what, we're going to make room for you because of what I told her, what I'm selling. So she's really excited. And I'm like, as soon as you get set up, let me know. You know, I'll come in and look around. And so, you know, it is catchy and you get excited and you really want to do it. And it's a lot of fun. And, you know, you do have to have a love for it. You really do. It's otherwise the work would just be, you know, it would be drudgery. It wouldn't be fun. And
I agree with that 100%. You have got to love doing it.
And it's so different than selling online. I mean, online, okay, here's the one item, black, you know, plain background, take a picture, list the item. You know, there's so much more staging and setting things up in a physical space. And that's constantly changing. You know, oh, I have this beautiful grouping and it looks nice and I hang this on the wall and everything looks great. and then somebody comes in and buys something, which is what you want. But then, you come in and you're like, oh, it looks all, so you kind of start rearranging. It's like setting up your dream living room, and then it looks great, and then people start coming and pulling stuff off the walls.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, it looks all scatterbrained. It doesn't look right. So, I mean, there's a constant, zhuzhing, as I like to call it. You're constantly, finessing, and, you kind of put something on the wall that's the space of something that went. And sometimes you got to get to a point where you just pull everything down and start over. And so it is a constant work in progress, definitely.
I will let you guys know one thing that I tried. Of course, you all know you can't sell clothes, Jen, but Tanya can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one thing that I tried, because I just had like a rack of clothing and had everything on hangers. Well, I thought, what I'll do is I'll just take some jeans in early fall and see if I can sell some jeans in there. I sold maybe 1 or 2 pairs, and they just sat there. And every time I would go in, they'd be all like crumpled and like back to the side and just all messy looking. So I just said, you know what? I'm not even going to do that anymore. I'm just going to sell hanging stuff. So, but at least I tried it. It was something new that I wanted to try to see if I could sell. So
I think jeans are probably harder too, because people want to try something on. And if you don't have that, available in your mall, that probably makes it difficult. I mean, I can look at a top and say, oh yeah, that'll fit. But jeans, that's a whole other animal.
Right.
The antique mall owner, she'll tell people if they, we'll go in the bathroom and try it on. So,
yeah. So a lot of people in the chat are talking about how they use lights to attract people to get them to come into their booth. Do you guys have lights, any kind of light display or setup?
I have electricity in my booth. Not all booths in my mall have electricity. I pay an extra like $5 a month for it. It is definitely worth it, because lamps and other things sell better when they're turned on, especially if you have, a shade that would show better when it's on.
Right.
So absolutely. We have a deep shelf, white shelf in the back that's probably a good, 16 inches deep. And Kim and I have toyed with the idea of doing some rope lighting, up underneath to kind of highlight what's on those shelves.
Yeah, that'd be pretty.
Yeah, and this time of year, with you'd be able to find a good price on those type of lighting situations. So yeah, that makes all the difference, I think, when having stuff lit up. Definitely, that's a plus.
Yeah, I have some Christmas lights in my booth. In my booth, I have it's an old Christmas tree. It doesn't have any green on it anymore. It's kind of just that, looks like, just the stems now, or the branches rather. And I hang jewelry all over that, but I also have some Christmas lights on there. And I don't have to pay extra for my electricity. Whenever we got the booth, my grandpa drilled a hole in the wall. We asked first, and we just kind of put the what do you call it? Oh gosh, I'm gonna draw a blank. Hello, the line.
Like an extension cord or a strip, power strip. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a little power strip where I have some electricity. So that's nice.
Yeah, you have to be careful. And if you have electricity in your booth, make sure that you are following what the mall owners have set up, because a lot of that is fire code stuff. So we have to be very careful, that you don't have, one little cord and you have 500 things plugged into it. So you have to be careful, because we don't want to burn the place down. That's not good for business.
I don't have electricity in my booth, which is kind of a bummer, because I mean, it would be nice to be able to, sell lamps. And I did buy lamps, over the past summer, a few of them. And I put a couple in there just to see what they would do, and they didn't sell. And I think one of the reasons is because I do not have electricity, so I will not be picking up any more lamps.
Yeah, see, that makes all the difference. When you have something lit up, it just really catches your eye. It's a bigger impact. So I'm very glad that we do. It's, because we have around the border of the building, that seems to be where all the power is. The center booths, don't really have that. So yeah, I mean, if you have electricity, and especially I'm paying an extra $5, it's definitely worth that cost to me. because it helps things sell better. So certainly, that works. I think, well, go ahead, Tam.
I wondered is if there is some kind of a like plug or like that's solar powered, because there is some that comes in from where my booth is for light from outside. And I wondered if there was something you could get so you could have electricity that was solar powered. I tried to look it up one time, but I didn't really find much. So I didn't know if you all had ever heard of anything like that, or if anybody in the chat knows if there's anything like that.
I haven't. That's a great idea.
No, hey, whatever works. I mean, by all means, that's that. If it works or it helps, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've had electricity in my spaces, this mall and the previous mall, so it really wasn't an issue for me. Plus, a lot of the malls and stuff, if you're in the center, I mean, you're not getting any kind of natural light as it is. But so I guess somebody asked the question about our hours of operation. Our mall is open all days except Monday and Tuesday. Our hours are 10 to 6, and then Sunday is 12 to 6. So, Tanya, what are the hours of your mall?
Our mall is closed on Mondays, and then they are open, I believe, during the week, like from 10 to 6. And then I think on Sundays they might close at 5. So about 3 years, yeah.
And what about you, Tam? What are the hours of your mall?
Our mall is open 7 days a week, and it is open. Let's see, Monday through Saturday we're open from 10 to 6, and Sunday 1 to 6.
Wow. So Tam has 7 days, Tanya has 6 days, and we have 5 days. The mall I was at previously was only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that made a big difference.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So yeah, that does make a big difference, because you figure when I was deciding to move the hours, it's like, well, what am I paying in rent? And the store that I'm at now was also open an extra hour a day as opposed. So the rent ended up being a teeny bit more, but with the extra day and the extra hour per day, I ended up, I'm so anal about this stuff, but I actually compared what is my rent hourly, because I was comparing apples to oranges otherwise.
Right.
So I was like, how many hours a week am I open? How many hours a month would that be? And how much is that? And it literally was just a few cents difference. So, the rent wasn't any more because the hours were longer. So, you got to be real analytical when you're, deciding if you're lucky enough, fortunate enough to have a choice of malls, because not everybody is. There's one place and that's it. So,
yeah.
I guess what else were we going to talk? Do you have any other questions before we move on?
I think we got most of the questions. Jaded Gypsy asked, do you work any customer service time at your antique malls? And I'm not sure what that meant. Like, I wonder if she means like when we're like in our booth, like to talk to people when they're shopping, or I don't do that. Well,
you know what?
And I'm unloading stuff, yeah, then I'll talk to people, but I don't go in just for that.
We've had a problem with vendors who are there and they're working their space. When you are there, you are to help customers, and it's a big turnoff when it's kind of it's not my department thing, when you say, can you help me, or what about this? And they're like, well, I'm just here to stock my booth. And it's like, if I ever heard another vendor say that, I would probably climb over the wall and slap them. It's like, you don't do that. Since I work as part of my rental agreement, we have a choice to be a walker who walks around, circulates, helps customers, takes items up front, helps get stuff down, or whatever the case might be. There's also people who run the registers. There are people who greet as people come in, and I do work customer service, as a matter of fact. So that entails answering the phones. If we have anybody walking up to ask about having a space, or any of that kind of stuff, that's what I'm doing. So I'm going to be doing that on Friday, tomorrow. I'm going to work my space, or I'm going to be working. So that's what I will do. So Yeah, and when you're there, even if you don't ever have to work at your mall, when you're there, you are representing the mall. So, put on a happy face, be helpful, don't not my job, not my department, not my time to work, because that is a turnoff. And if you have a customer come in and you're like, well, I'm busy, and I mean, if that customer says, well, fine, I'm leaving, I mean, that doesn't help
That's
your
not
business.
good.
Yeah, it doesn't help anybody. So, and it only takes one person to have a crappy attitude, to turn somebody off. And, we don't want to do that. I mean, we want people to feel welcome
Mhm.
and helped and all that stuff. So that's part of your job, whether you're working at the mall or not, really.
Yeah, and it seems like I feel like I don't know about y'all's mall, but I feel like there are people like every time I go out there that are always there. Like I think that they stay there all day, maybe sometimes. Do you have people like that at your mall? Like
Yeah, and
vendors that just probably stay there all day?
yeah, and there are people who do that aren't working, but they just kind of hang out, because a lot of times there are vendors where it is a social thing, having a space. It's not a business as much as it getting you out of
Mhm.
the house, getting you to be around other people, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
and I think
Um,
that's great.
yeah, but there's also people who literally have 2 and 3 and 4 spaces.
Yes.
So they're having to work a lot. So they're there working a lot. So if you have a double space, you're working 4 days a month.
Mhm.
So if you have 3 spaces, you're working 6 days a month. So I mean, there are people who are there all the time, and that's why. Also, if I wanted a space but I thought I can't work or I don't want to work, then I can pay another vendor to work my day. And I did that during the summer just because I was, outsourcing and busy. But that would be an added expense. If you think,
Mhm.
I could be at home, or I can be in my booth, or I can be on a different platform selling, and it costs me maybe 35, $40 to pay someone to work my day, then that might financially be a better idea for you to do that.
Yeah.
So another change that I recently made, that I wanted to mention on here is, and you guys probably have this too, you have a sliding scale where you can pay a certain amount of rent and then they do a percentage off of your profits, or you can pay a certain amount and they will take none. And I had been at paying a certain amount and them taking 10%. And starting, I think, September, I started paying a higher rent, and having them take no percentage, because I did the numbers and it made sense because of what I was making, that I was actually going to make more doing that. So if that's something that your mall offers, you should kind of every once in a while sit down and do the math and make that decision and decide if that's something that you want to do or not. What about you guys? Do you guys have that, like a sliding scale, or that you can change things up?
I've never been offered anything like that or even heard of anything like that.
So
No.
do you just, yeah, do you just, Tanya, you just pay rent and they take a
10%.
percentage?
Uh-huh.
Okay. And then Tam, what about you?
Yep, same here. Those pay rent and they take a percentage.
Yeah, because I know, the other thing is we have a big space in the back of the mall for furniture. And if anybody, you're allowed to put a certain amount of items back there. But if you do put stuff back there, since it's a common area, you have to mark it on the ticket and they do take 10%.
I
So
wish
even,
so much we had that at our mall. We used to, but we
uh,
don't anymore. It'd be so nice because I come across so many great pieces. I mean, even pieces like at the curb for the trash guys to pick up.
Yeah,
You
same for me.
know,
I wish we had a place like that too, so I could pick up furniture and have a
it
place.
would be worth it.
yeah, well, the store that we're in now used to be a store, and the back area where the furniture is was the stock room, or where they would have items. And since everybody is bringing in their own stuff, this our store doesn't need that. And your guys, a mall, if everybody's bringing in their own inventory, it's not like, you got boxes to the ceiling in a stock room like you would in a conventional store. So that's the area that they use, and it's quite profitable for them to do that. Plus, if somebody's looking for a piece of furniture, people do have furniture in their booths, but if they're looking specifically, a lot of times they'll go straight back to that furniture area and look around in there first. So yeah, it's definitely a good thing, and especially if you have a small space, and ours is all of our, racks and things in there are for display. Unless it's a teeny tiny little side table or something, I don't have the room for a piece of furniture in my area. So
small side tables I can fit. I had that Costco step stool / chair in there. That still hasn't sold, but I bet you it'll sell during the 50% off. So we'll see.
yeah. So now that we've kind of talked about how our fourth quarter is going so far, and also I'll mention fourth quarter, of course, is a good time of year for reselling, no matter what platform you're on or if you have a space. January has historically always been really good for me. So I don't know if people are just getting a lot of cash as gifts and then they go to spend it or what the deal is, but my January is usually as good as November or December. How about you guys?
Yeah, definitely. I feel the same. January is pretty good. Plus, our mall offers gift cards too, so that's nice.
Yeah, and you, Tam, how's your January?
Yeah, our mall offers gift cards too, and I don't know. Last year it was okay. I mean, it wasn't great, but it was okay.
Yeah, and especially with you, Tanya, getting more new stock in and that kind of stuff. That gets people excited when they see a lot of new stuff coming in.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, the thing I wanted to tackle and mention today before we run out of time is inventory. So, for one of those unusual booth owners who buys things, brings them home, cleans them, prices them, and then they go out. If you're first starting, that works great. You get to a point where what you're bringing in is not strictly going out. Either it's not in season or there just plain isn't room. So my inventory system in the basement has become a little bit of a nightmare. And this time of year, with me not sourcing as much, and the weather getting a little bit rainy and then going to get cold eventually, it's a time of year when I start thinking about my purchases over the last year or two, and to look at things and to be critical and say, why did you buy this? Do you really think it's going to sell? Is it time to just let it go? So that is what I'm in the process of doing. And especially, like I said, if you're selling on multiple platforms, it can get a little hairy. So what I'm doing is kind of reorganizing, and I wanted to see if you guys, please make me feel better, and Tam, and tell me that your inventory is not perfect. I need to hear it.
Well, if you guys follow my channel, as you know, we just recently purchased a storage shed. And we have been in the process of moving all the stuff from our garage into the storage shed, my husband's stuff. That way I can use the entire garage for my reselling. So since we've moved all that stuff out there, and then if you all are members of the Facebook group, the Antique Booth Talk Facebook group, I posted a picture. It's been a little while ago of a cabinet that I got. It's a Hoosier cabinet, and I bought it specifically as a display for my booth. Well, just this morning, I finished painting it. And this has been like, what, a month and a half, 2 months ago that I bought it. So
that's good timing in my book.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, really.
Trying to get everything out of my house and into the garage and organized, because like my reselling is just all over my house. It's everywhere. And I'm trying to slowly get that stuff organized. And yeah, it's been I showed Jen before we came on the air. I showed Jen my garage, and it's a disaster. But once I get the Hoosier cabinet out of my garage, then I'll be able to get things organized a little bit better. My husband and I were talking about last night, an area in the garage for me to have like bubble wrap, place to keep that, a place to keep, he found some kind of like bin that you could hang on the wall, and you can keep packing peanuts in it. And then you just pull a little lever.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those. Those are nice. You mean you need a shipping station?
Yes, but I also want a station where I can take my pictures for Poshmark and eBay and not have to do that in my house. I don't know if there's going to be enough.
Yeah, moving your setup as you talked about. Yeah.
But it's funny because in my garage, I have one shelf for my Poshmark, one shelf for my eBay, and all the other whole side of my garage is my antique booth stuff. I've got
That's
so
pretty
much.
organized to me.
Oh my gosh, I've got so much inventory. I need to just not thrift for a little while until I get rid of some stuff.
It's so hard not to, though.
And that's hard when you have a YouTube channel, because there's a certain expectation of, I have weekly thrift hauls, and if I didn't, people would send out the cavalry to make, where is she? Is she okay?
Yeah,
So,
but I mean, gaps in between my videos where I just haven't had time. I don't have time.
Right.
And like Tanya said, it's hard not to do that. And I know when I have my Savers has a 50% off every Monday. I mean, I can't not go, I don't think there's stuff I got to go look at because I'm I go, my stuff is there. I got to go get it.
Yeah.
So I mean, this driven to keep, YouTube, to keep videos on YouTube, that's kind of a tricky situation because,
Right.
you need to
and not
put
only
stuff
that,
up.
but you're showing people everything that you've bought, but they also want to see that you're selling it, which is why a lot of times I'm not showing everything I'm buying because I'm so slow to get it listed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's become, my thrift hauls have become, that is a Monday staple. That is, here's what I got, and if anybody's like, oh, where's your store? I'm thinking about getting it. I'm like, well, I mean, this summer I bought a huge, like almost 70 paper doll books. And I finally got them pretty much all researched, and I'm hoping to start getting those listed. So it's just sometimes you just don't get stuff put up as quick as you want. And if you have, an antique booth, you don't have the room right now, or you have to wait for certain pieces to sell. And if you have some art that's larger, that's a decent size of, your wall space. So you kind of have to plan taking those things out. So did we have another question just pop up?
We do have a question from Jill. She asked, don't you cross post, especially if it's not in the antique booth? I do. Definitely.
I would, on different selling platforms, I would, but not the antique booth, because that item, that I've been sitting there for 6 months and I listed it, it would sell.
Right.
And you'd go in to get it and you're like, uh-oh.
Right. And not only that, I would never do that just because I cannot look at my sales online. If I want to know how I'm doing for my sales, I actually have to physically go into the store myself and get a report. And also my store is like 20 minutes, or my booth is like 20 minutes away from me. So it's quite a drive for me. It's not just right around the corner. So I would probably never do that.
Yeah. And we had somebody that we kind of caught at the last mall that I was in. And they were coming in and taking pictures of items in the mall. They were listing it on eBay.
Oh my gosh.
And then when it sold, they would come and get it. And I just recently talked to a vendor who used to be at my old place. And we talked about it for a second. He goes, that's funny you should mention that, because I found out who this person was. And he said when they did that, I went online and I saw that item and I knew it was mine and it was in my booth. He said, so what I did is I think he bought it online and then jacked up the price of the item in the space. So this person came in and there was still a teeny bit of profit. So they were like, oh crap, I still have to buy it. So they bought the item, and as soon as it went through the register, he went on eBay and canceled the order.
Oh my gosh.
Can you imagine? So he's like, yeah, I sold it for more than I thought I would. And he got, so I don't know if that cured this person of doing that. And they certainly would not buy from this particular vendor since they knew that's what it was. So yeah. You got to be doing that, and you should sell things that you own. I know, crazy concept, don't sell other people's stuff, but I don't know. I guess people doing that figured, the once in a while chance that the item would sell before they could go in and buy it, that was negligible to what they were making. So can you believe that? That's just craziness.
That is crazy.
I don't cross post. Of course, I only sell on 2 platforms, the Poshmark and eBay, but I list different things on eBay than I do Poshmark, because Poshmark, you're not allowed to list hard goods, just only clothing and stuff. So I personally would be scared to do that, because I would be afraid the item would sell on both platforms at the same time and I'd have to cancel one of them. So
yeah, but the chances of that happening are really, really few and far in between. Like for me, when I list something that I know that's going to sell really fast, for example, this past weekend, I picked up a Kinder Scott bracelet for 50 cents at a garage sale. I only listed that on Mercari because I figured it would probably sell pretty quick, right? And it did. It sold like within 45 minutes, I think, of me listing it on there. So with those type of things, I'm always really careful with.
Well, yeah, see, I don't worry about them selling at the same time. It's selling and then I forget. Yeah, because I would totally do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm sure I've done it before myself. But like with my jewelry, if it's in a baggie, I try and put a piece of paper in there, and I'll have like where it's also posted, like the different places. And then on eBay, there's actually a little box where you can type in, I think Rhonda, we've talked about this before, a place where you can type in, eBay, Poshmark, Mercari, wherever else you might have it listed. So that way, you can go to those places and take it down.
Right.
I don't know. It seems strange to me that any platform would encourage you to sell on another platform or cross post. I don't know. It just seems, yeah.
But there's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they can't stop you.
Yeah, but they certainly wouldn't do things to make it any easier for you to do so, I think. And some seem to do that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Rhonda says it's called a custom field. I'm sure that that's not what eBay intended us to use it for.
Okay. Yeah.
Sometimes in that field, I might enter like where I bought it and how much I paid for it. Just, little notes to yourself. The customer can't see, just you.
So Tanya, don't think you got away from the how you're storing your inventory question.
I did.
We didn't forget. So how is your inventory going?
Okay, so let's talk. You guys have such nice storage options. Like now Tam has the whole garage that she can store all of her stuff in, and you have a basement. I don't have anything like that. And we are a family of 4 living in about a 1,900 square foot house. So I really don't have a lot of extra room, which is why I feel the pressure just to get things listed so much. But the only really extra room I have would be my storage unit. And right now that's just busting at the seams. So I don't know, it might be time for me to get a bigger unit or another one. I don't know. I need to do something. So
either that or maybe get a unit near the one you have and kind of start moving stuff over and organizing it in a way, because I know if you go to your storage unit and you open up the door, you're like, oh my God, I don't know where to start. So maybe even if you did 2 at the same time for a month or 2, or just a month.
Till I got that bigger one ready.
Yeah, to light that fire under you to say, okay, I'm going to pull this stuff out, organize it in a way that makes sense, and then put it in this one and just keep emptying out. So maybe that might be an option for you.
That's true. And I'm sure that come time when rent was due, that'd be a good fire under my booty too.
Yeah, because you'd be like, I don't want to pay another month, so I got to get this done. And, I've toyed with the idea, and I have been kind of asking around for maybe a younger person, maybe in their mid to late teens, to come and help me, and to pay them to come and help me get my stuff organized, because I just need to do that. I need the help at this point, and I'm mature enough to admit I need help.
Yeah, I need help.
Yeah, because every time I go down there to pull something to take out to my booth or pull something for eBay, I almost go down there with blinders on, just grab it and run back up the stairs. It's gotten so bad.
Yeah, I feel like my booth and my storage unit have been severely neglected by me for the past 6 months. So I need to spend a lot of time at both of those places trying to organize stuff and, get it ready.
Yeah, it's funny how, as human beings, we have this avoidance behavior, that we're like, you know, I'm not going to look over there. Oh, look, this is nice and organized. No, no, not over there. So, I mean, that's our natural thing. And if it's not organized and it's not fun and it's going to be a pain, then you avoid it all the more because you think, oh my gosh, it's going to get bad before it gets better.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't even know where to start. I mean, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, yeah, before we sign off, I just wanted to, was there any other questions before we move on? Or are we good?
I think we're good. Rhonda's really been helping us out a lot in the chat, answering questions. So thank you, Rhonda, for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, honorary admin.
Ideas in there.
Right.
Yeah, it's no matter how much you know or how much you think there's always another vendor who's going to give you an idea, and you're going to be like, I've been doing this 10 years, and somebody will tell me something, and I'll be like, wow, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, you can always learn, and if somebody isn't doing a very good job in your space, you could look and go, that's not how to do it. So, I mean, everybody's an example to the good or to the bad. So it's definitely helpful to sit and to talk about this. So
Yeah.
Again, I encourage everybody to jump on Facebook and to, join us on Antique Booth Talk on our Facebook group. And there's so much help. If you have a question, if you want to post a picture and say, this space, I just don't know what to do, or what do you think? And as long as you don't, get your feelings hurt, we're pretty direct sometimes. I know I'm a very straight shooter and I don't want to come across as being difficult, but I always, even if something looks, oh, wow, this looks really great, but make sure I always try to add a little something that you can, do to make it better. So if you need that help, please, please, please go over there.
That's a great idea. And can you make Rhonda a moderator in the chat?
Oh, is she volunteering?
She wants a wrench. I went to go give her one, then I realized, wait, this isn't my channel. She already has a wrench on my channel.
Oh, yeah, we'll have to do that. Absolutely.
Rhonda's great. She's extremely knowledgeable. She always has great tips and advice. So really love her a lot.
Yeah,
that's
she's
awesome.
given a lot of good ideas today in the chat. I've been watching.
Yeah. And everybody loved your shirt today, Tam.
Oh, thank you.
You got a lot of compliments.
I got this on a private pick.
A private pick. You go
there. A lady that I know was having a garage sale, and she said, "You can come and look early." So I went over there, and she has some really cute clothes. So picked this up, I think, for $1.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's super cute.
Yeah, it's very comfortable too. I love it.
Well, my top I happened to get from Walmart about a week ago. And
That's very beautiful with the roses, Jen.
And it's got ruffles.
Oh, I love it.
Ruffles make all the difference.
Right? Mine came from Waco, Texas.
Is that what is that? Is that Magnolia?
Yeah, from Magnolia. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Joanna and Chip Gaines. Yeah.
So as far as our channels are concerned, I wanted to mention a couple things about my channel, and then if you guys can kind of think about if there's anything new coming up you want to mention, that I have a video on Monday coming up, my first GoPro video.
GoPro?
I have a GoPro.
You got a GoPro?
I strapped that sucker on.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. I've been wanting to do it.
He bought that for me for our anniversary this year.
Oh,
and it was one more thing I had to learn how to use, and I finally just said, just got to do it. So I strapped that sucker on. I put a sweatshirt over. I literally cut a little slit in the sweatshirt and around. Oh yeah, it's quite the setup. So
oh my gosh, this is gonna be so funny. Where'd you go?
I went to Savers on Monday, my usual thrifting thing, and I only filmed at the one store. The video was 45 minutes long.
Oh my gosh.
So if somebody has lots of time and nothing else to do, that video will be going up on Monday. And instead of putting the haul and all that in the one video, the haul will be done separate, and that will be on Wednesday. So Monday, you'll get a glimpse of some of the things I bought as I was going through the store. And then Wednesday is the actual haul. So I'm really, really, really excited about that coming out. And it's
Yeah, I'm excited too. You're so sneaky.
it did pretty well. The only thing is, instead of standing in the store and you're doing this, I have to, you know,
You have to go like this?
Turn and lean, yeah. Because it's literally right in the center of your chest. You know, you got this whole Iron Man vibe going on, you know. So it'll be interesting to see. I did watch it through while I was at my desk yesterday just to kind of, you know, check it out. I did a quick intro like, hey guys, this is my YouTube video. And
why are we going to have to wait till Monday?
Oh, you got to wait. You got to wait. So yeah, that's coming up. So I'm super, super, super excited about that. So I will be doing that each week. I'll see what kind of reception I'm getting on that. And then I told my son, I'm like, I'm not sure I want to watch it. He goes, no, it's pretty good, you know, the quality. And I said, no, I'm afraid if I watch it, I'll see stuff I missed. So that'll be up on Monday.
What kind of GoPro did you get?
Oh,
I know there's different like versions of it. Like
it's like a hero something. So, and yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about it. So, and
now,
also, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask about the difficulty level because I've been toying with the idea of getting one too, but I'm not sure I'm really willing to learn something new. So do you think it was easy to learn?
You know what I did? I just went on YouTube and I typed in how to start using your GoPro, or I typed in, you know, a beginner and then the title or what it is, the GoPro Hero, something, I forget. And that's literally, people will say, here's the box. Let's open it up. This is what this is.
That is so nice when people do those videos. I really appreciate those.
Yeah. So it's literally like someone sitting there with you going, okay, this is what you do. And this is this button for this.
Oh, I love that.
So yeah. So, I mean, I'm a visual learner, so that was perfect. So that's
okay. So Mr. Pudgy Picker put there in the chat, it's a GoPro Hero 4.
Perfect. Thank you, dear. I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
So yeah, so I'm pretty stoked about it, you know. So I did that and it was a lot of fun, and we'll see how the reception is for it. So I said that goes up on Monday. I'm also getting really close to hitting 10,000 subscribers. Yeah. Yay! Yay! So I have some exciting news coming up on that. I keep hinting toward it in my videos. You're going to be doing a giveaway? Oh, definitely going to do a giveaway, but there's also another thing opening up for Pudgy Picker that you can see more of me and listen to me more. I mean, who doesn't want that in their life? So yeah, that's some exciting stuff coming up on my channel. How about you guys? I know Tanya, I'm going to televising Tanya, man. She's on every day on YouTube. You can't get away from you.
All right. We have some shows coming up. I was just discussing this morning with my Poshmark peeps. We're going to have a Poshmark talk show on probably Wednesday. No, wait. What day did I say? I think on the November 13th on Tuesday at 4:30 Central. So that, and then we'll have a jewelry detective show coming up on the 14th. We're going to have Sandy on again, and we are going to be talking about jade. So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome.
And also, we always do the reseller stew on Pinching Pesos channels on Tuesdays at noon.
Yeah, I watched that. I watched that on Tuesday because Tuesday is my like eBay listing, getting stuff done. So I have that on. I'm sitting there, so I don't always catch all the comments, but you guys are yapping at me while I'm working away.
That's awesome. I've been enjoying seeing you in the chat.
Yeah. So Tam, what's up with you and your videos? What do you have in store for us?
The next thing that I had planned on doing a what sold in my antique booth, but I have not had a chance to do that. Like I said, we've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to do hardly anything.
And that's a lot of work for you. You put a lot of work into those videos, huh?
Yes, yes, a lot. But I do want to do a video of once I get my garage organized to kind of show what the organization looks like in my garage.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
And then, of course, you know, my regular, I'll be doing some haul videos coming up. And then as it gets closer to the holidays, I make hand-pulled cream candy.
Ooh.
And I tried to do a video about it last year about how I make it, the process of how I make it. So it didn't work out. So I'm hoping to be able to make a video about that coming up as it gets closer to the holidays. So that's what I've got going on.
Now, do the panel members here get to try that?
Yeah, absolutely. We got to make sure the quality control is in place for this.
Absolutely. I wish I could sell it, but you have all kinds of FDA stuff, and so
yeah,
I sell it locally. But as far as and I have sold it to a few people like across that I know. That one lady lives in California. She ordered some from me, and so
nice.
Wow, so
but it's really
cool.
good, and the way that it's made is really interesting. But I've been making it for years, probably 30 years or more.
Is it your mother's recipe?
It is my mom's recipe, but my mom got the recipe from another lady years ago, probably, let's see, my mom's 82, 83, so 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah. Bailey in the chat says you need to do a contest for some of that as a prize.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
And
yes. Yeah, food is always a winner in everybody's book. So that's, yeah.
Yeah. A lot of times when I make it, though, a lot of people mistake it for divinity.
That's what I was going to ask you, if it was like divinity. I love divinity.
Like divinity. It's totally different.
So does the weather have to be just right to make yours too, like it does with divinity?
Yep.
Yep.
Has to be cold enough because you pour it out on a marble slab, and then you have to pick it up and pull it. So the weather has to be cold enough to get the marble cold enough, because when you pour the candy out on the marble, it's got to be cold enough to stop the candy from running off.
Okay. Is it does it taste like divinity?
No.
Huh.
It has a very unique taste. It's kind of one of those things that kind of melts. When you put it in your mouth, it kind of melts. Not real fast, though. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Yes, I'll have to send you all some samples.
Yes,
absolutely. So just encouraging you guys as YouTube creators also to kind of, certain things we have to do. It's fun to, source and wow, look what I got. But doing videos on things that have sold and kind of the background of how we store things and how we organize, I think that's really important for people to see, and people who have a booth, and that's not the glamorous side of what we do. It's fun getting stuff and selling it, and it's all the in-between stages that could help other people too. So it's pulling back the curtain and looking and seeing the inner workings. That's the hard stuff sometimes.
Yes,
I agree.
So unless anybody else has anything to add, I think, whose channel are we going to be on next? I think we're on Tanya's next, aren't we?
Yeah, I think so. For December, I'll be hosting, and hopefully we'll be able to do it the first Thursday in December. But we'll let you guys know in our Facebook group for sure once we get that date down.
Man, December. I can't believe this year has gone so fast.
It has, incredibly fast. It's crazy.
Okay, well, everybody, we're going to sign off and get back to work.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.